Hey, you made your way to the Den, a safe and comfortable place to explore female sexuality from a variety of perspectives and start thinking about sexuality outside the box. So do you know what season it is now? V-Day season. And I don't mean Valentine's Day, at least not yet. But if you're not familiar, V-Day is the global movement to end violence against women and girls. During February and the beginning of March, it's in full force through benefit performances of Eve Ensler's Obie award-winning play, The Vagina Monologues. You're probably familiar with The Vagina Monologues. It's been around for a while, but it was written based on interviews with over 200 women who shared intimate experiences about their vulvas, their vaginas, their sexuality. And this play weaves really compelling narrative that gives voice to a variety of women's experiences with their sexuality. Some are individual monologues, some are group pieces that are many women's voices represented at once. And it's really about breaking through the veil of silence that's around women's vaginas and sexuality. And honestly, a silence that's deafening for many women. So, although the performance piece, The Vagina Monologues, isn't specifically linked to violence against women, the V-Day movement evolved from early performances of the play, when women repeatedly came backstage to share with Eve Ensler the horrors of their experiences of violence and abuse. So now, for a 5-week period in February and early March, colleges and communities can get the rights for free to perform the Vagina Monologues. And the majority of the funds that they raise are donated back to women's organizations in the local community. So more about V-Day. The V in V-Day stands for Valentine, Vagina, and victory. V-Day's mission is simple. It demands that the violence must end. It proclaims Valentine's Day as V-Day until the violence stops. When all women live in safety, no longer fearing violence or the threat of violence, then V-Day will be known as a Victory Over Violence Day. In its first year of incorporation, 2001, V-Day was named one of Worth magazine's 100 best charities. And in the past 8 years, the V-Day movement has raised over $30 million. Okay, now there's been a lot of controversy and criticism around performances of this play. And beyond the conservative religious response that labels the play immoral, whatever, there have been many other critiques. That it's been overdone. Some say it reduces women to their biology. Some don't like equating women's sexuality with violence and victimization. And others object that it's attempting to speak for all women around the world. And these are all really quite valid arguments and definitely have merit. And from the perspective of having acted in it, directed it, and taught a semester-long class based on the play, I can honestly say that the positive energy and healing generated by the production is so intense, from actresses who are challenging themselves beyond what they thought was possible, to an audience member who feels validated and understood for the first time, to the organization who benefits from the fundraising. It's undeniable and it's electric. Sexual fun fact number 74 and 75. There's two. How many times was the word vagina said in the original production of the Vagina Monologues? 128 times. Vagina, vagina, vagina! And 125 more times. Okay, number two. In 2006, how many V-Day benefit events took place? Well, in 2006, over 2,700 V-Day benefit events took place, produced by volunteers and activists in the United States and around the world. That's really impressive. The Den recommend. And this is probably a pretty obvious recommendation here, but if you have not seen a live performance of this play, I cannot recommend it enough. Go out there and see it. It's been around for a while. At this point, a lot of universities and communities have performances at this time of the year. And as an audience member, you'll likely experience a really broad range of emotions, from happiness to joy to sorrow or anger to confusion to validation and appreciation. And I'll never forget the first time I saw it, Valentine's Day 2001, with 3 of my closest female friends. And there was this piece about girls getting their periods for the first time. And I was just in awe that women were on stage giving voice to what I had only ever felt embarrassed about before. It was really powerful. And it's truly an experience like no other. So, however, if you're uncomfortable sitting in an audience and watching the play, then I can also recommend either reading the book or renting it. And although it's a lot more powerful and fun to see it live with a cast of diverse women, the book is still excellent, and Eve Ensler is very engaging in the HBO version, and it has interviews interspersed throughout that are really insightful. And here's a little bit of one of the monologues that I always get a kick out of. This is how I came to love my vagina. It's embarrassing because it's not politically correct. I mean, I know it should have happened in a bath with salts from the Dead Sea, Enya playing, me loving my woman self. I know the story. Vaginas are beautiful. Our self-hatred is only the internalized repression and hatred of the patriarchal culture. It isn't real. Pussies unite! I know all of it. Like, if we'd grown up in a culture where we were taught that fat thighs were beautiful, we'd all be pounding down milkshakes and Krispy Kremes, lying on our backs, spending our days thigh expanding. But we didn't grow up in that culture. I hated my thighs. And I hated my vagina even more. I thought it was incredibly ugly. I was one of those women who had looked at it, and from that moment on, I wished I hadn't. It made me sick. I pitied anyone who had to go down there. In order to survive, I began to pretend there was something else between my legs. I imagined furniture. If you're interested in reading more, that was the beginning of the monologue that's called Because He Liked to Look at It. So, to all you vagina warriors out there, keep up the good fight. And if you have any questions or comments about V-Day or the Vagina Monologues, visit me at DrJennsDen.com or email me at Jennifer@DrJennsDen.com. So ask yourself, if your vagina got dressed, what would it wear? And be kind to yourself. Hey, you made your way to the Den, a safe and comfortable place to explore female sexuality from a variety of perspectives and start thinking about sexuality outside the box. I don't have my box.
Where is your box?
It's back in a bag.